Hey everybody, Cinephile Mike, your friendly neighborhood cinephile is here with day 7, and it is Independent Week! Yes, in honor of the Independent Spirit Awards that were announced last week. I didn't really get to talk about them much because I was putting together the box office reviewed films, and to follow up was right. Of the reviews that I did from days 1 through 5, all of those did pop up in the cinematic and box office achievement category at the Golden Globes. Now, while yesterday's film Elemental didn't make that cut, it was nominated for Best Animated Feature, so keep following me. My predictions, maybe they'll all come true. And hey, before I dive into today's film, let's talk about those Golden Globe Award nominations. There are some interesting surprises there, and there are going to be some interesting runs. But, we're not going to get into that now. We're here to talk about the independent films, but some of those others will be forthcoming this season. Now, while I am not able to hit every film, there are over 150 films nominated every year, and we're down to 96 days. I'm going to try to get as many as I can that spread across the major awards in the season. So, kicking off Independent Week, the next 7 reviews that we're going to have from today through next Monday have been nominated for at least one or more Independent Spirit Award and may have varied other nominations or even wins thus far. And so, first up today is this year's Indie Awards darling crime thriller, Anatomy of a Fall. Written by Justine Triet and Arthur Harari and directed by Triet, Anatomy of a Fall has been a constant so far this year. Chronologically, based on the awards that I've been tracking, it won Best International Feature and Best Screenplay at the Gotham Awards. It has been named the Best International or Non English Feature Film of the Year by the National Board of Review, the LA Film Critics Association, and the New York Film Critics Circle. And it is nominated for the Independent Spirit Award for Best International Film. And yesterday it was announced it has 4 Golden Globe nominations for Best Picture, Non English Language, and in the Best Picture Drama, as well as also the screenplay is nominated again, and Best Actress in a Drama for Sandra Hüller. Now, it also needs to be said that Hüller was also recognized for this award as the best performance from the LA Film Critics Association as well. Now, a side note for those who have been finding the box office information interesting, I will quickly say that Anatomy of a Fall is currently sitting with a worldwide total of $18,499,573. $3,535,628 of that is domestic, and $14,963,945 is international. But this film is still in theaters, and with the awards love it's getting, this number is almost certainly to rise. All right, now that we've gone over the awards history thus far, let's get into the film. Now, this film takes the classic whodunit and sort of turns it on its head. Sandra Hüller plays Sandra Voiter, a German novelist already suffering some isolation, being that she has now settled in the French Alps in the middle of nowhere with her French husband Samuel and partially blind son Daniel. So, already dealing with some of that, we see how some of these stresses are having an impact on her life. And now, within the first 10 minutes, when her son Daniel comes back with his seeing eye dog and support dog Daniel, Snoop, we quickly see that Samuel, her husband, is lying dead in the snow, having fallen from the 3rd-story window of their chalet. Now, from here, the film dissolves into a very tense courtroom drama where we try to determine if Sandra killed her husband or no. And as the history of Sandra and Samuel's relationship comes to the forefront, there are many arguments on both sides that at times paint her hands as red with the blood as fresh as in the snow, and others where she seems to be as pure as the freshly fallen snow. I'm sorry, I can't avoid the snow imagery. It's just too good to pass up. Now, their son Daniel also becomes a crucial member and participant in this trial based on the experiences that he had with his parents. But of course, he can only reference the things that he heard because he is visually impaired. Without the spoilers, Triet and Harari provide an excellent back and forth where the audience will not be sure where the next turn is coming. The film plays this until the eventual decision is made and we learn just what has happened to this broken family. We learn that cuts go deep, and not just as a result of the language barriers, which are uniquely shown in that much of Hüller's dialogue is presented in English because she is not a native French speaker, although her trial is in France. And this only continues, again, as I said, to highlight that isolation. This is what, that is what this film does very well. It's not just this tense courtroom drama akin to last year's Indie nominee Saint Omer, but in a way, it's also a very family history film. But the interesting approach is that we learn the family history almost secondhand. Now, it could have been very interesting as we heard about different parts in the trial if we saw those elements in flashback, but we don't do that. The screenwriters, Triet and Harari, don't give us those visuals. We basically just have to take the firsthand accounts of every participant. But since we don't actually see that this is happening, it really does become a difference of he said, she said, and one of those saids is dead. For this, the way that this is structured, I'm not surprised at the recognition that this screenplay has been receiving in either nominations or wins. And I think it's almost a lock for a Best Original Screenplay nomination at the Oscars. Now, this film was a joy to watch, and while there were some times that it was a little slow, the way that the film presented the trial and the events leading up to it, are some of those elements that we've seen in other great courtroom dramas. Now, personally, I'm not familiar with Huler's work before this, but she is definitely someone I'm going to begin to pay attention to. Another film that will likely be reviewed this season because it's nipping at Anatomy of a Fall is the film The Zone of Interest, a German film in which Huler also stars. So, all in all, for me, Anatomy of a Fall is a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I look forward to seeing it again and seeing how it, goes through award season. Is it going to go the distance as it's an early frontrunner? Or, as we've seen, sometimes these films that start strong, peter out. We shall see as the season goes. Now, if you're interested in seeing Anatomy of the Fall, as of this posting, the film is still in some theaters nationwide, and depending on how the nominations go, it could pop up in more theaters. However, if you're more a stream it at home, it will be available for rental on digital platforms as of December 22nd of this year. No information yet about whether it will be streaming on a specific service. All right. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And if you like what you heard here, please click above and subscribe to the channel, and also follow me on all social media platforms. Also, and I bring this up at the end, if you follow my face on my page on Facebook, as of this afternoon, you will be able to access the Where Can I Watch This spreadsheet. For those of you that have been with me, you know that this is where you can see how to watch every film nominated throughout the season. The links are there, the platforms are listed there, and there's some new stuff on it too. You can now see the tracker. Who is winning the awards at every season? What's the calendar? When are these awards happening? When can I watch them? I've got all that information for you. You just have to head on over to Facebook. All right. So, I hope you all have a great day and a continued wonderful awards season. But until then, this is Cinephile Mike saying, take a break and watch something new.